Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dr. Selma Bartholomew from Partner with Legacy, wishing you a wonderful kickoff to the fall season. I hope that you've been well and that you had a wonderful summer, a restful summer. And we are back live, excited to restart a new school year with you and to keep you updated on all of the news and to keep you connected to our community leaders. And so we're excited to kick off this new year. It was an amazing year last year. So thank you for all of your love and continued support. Thank you for helping Dr. B and her team with all of the love and helping us to break the YouTube glass ceiling by making sure that you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get to know when we have new videos posted. I wanted to spend this morning first just to let you know we plan an exciting year. We're going to be doing October is Domestic Violence Month. We've planned some speakers around STEM, and so stay tuned with us as we kick off the year. As you know, schools have reopened, and so my conversation this morning, I received a lot of text messages and notices where individuals were asking, Dr. B, why no remote option for New York City public schools or for the schools in general? Certainly parents have been outcried and outraged and asking about this. And so I just wanted to spend this morning and our short time together to just answer that question for you. So as you know, New York City has more than 1 million plus school children. We have the first African-American woman chancellor, Chancellor Misha Ross Porter. Congratulations to her. It is no easy job and no easy task, right? And we certainly, wish her continued success in her role because she's inherited a very large system. So what individuals want to know is why no remote options? So first, in this country, as you know, we are states that have come under a federal government. So most people think that it's the federal government that is responsible for education, but in reality, it is the state. And the federal government gives on approximately maybe 8 to 10% of the money for students to be educated. So now if it is the state's responsibility to educate schools, then why no remote option? Well, first, when you pay your taxes, so for example, you're in Long Island, Roosevelt District, they pay taxes. If I'm in the Bronx, I pay taxes, right? And so the taxes that you pay go to the state. The state then says, this is how much they will allot to each and every child in your school district. So education and the access to dollars is based on your tax base. So that's the first thing I want you to keep in mind. So every child is educated and they get a dollar amount. So for example, if New York State says there's a child named Maria in the Bronx, Maria might get $10,000 a year from the state to educate her. Now be careful. Doesn't mean Maria, right, can distribute that $10,000 how she wants. Maria is now registered to a school in her neighborhood. So let's say, for example, this school is on 155th Street and Broadway. So now this school on 155th on Broadway, let's call it PS 155, just for this example so that we can follow. So this school now is responsible for children. And so they have to, in order to meet their budget, they need X number of children. So if they have 100 children and they get $10,000 per child, then that principal now knows that they have a budget, and that budget now goes towards teachers. So the money follows the child, and schools are organized around the fact that they will have X number of children in the building. And so they can now have teachers, they can have a principal, they can have assistant principal. What most people don't know is that public schools are drained, right? And so charter schools exist because, once again, when a charter school opens up, they promote and they say, send your child to this charter school. Well, that money, that $10,000 now follows that child into that charter school. So why no remote option? Well, there is no such thing as an online school that the DOE has organized, because that would mean now that $10,000 for that child now follows and goes up into this virtual online academy. But Maria is still registered to the school on 155th Street, which is in session, right? And so it means that that school principal, there's no regulations and there's no policies and there's no agreement with the union in terms of how will he, that principal, or she, that principal, organize their school when they now have a teacher that is contracted to be in a building. And now if Maria is remote, but Maria might be remote for 2 weeks, right? But still, how will you fund that teacher in the online space when the money is going to that school building? It's not just going to the DOE. They have to have some accountability to say that that money must be lined up in order to fund that school building. So this is a big challenge for them because there are unions. And I always say to parents, as we know, our children don't have unions, they have parents. And so it's our job to educate our parents so that they understand. They think, well, certainly you have a voice, but why is it that policy is not moving? Well, the New York City Department of Education and other school systems will now have to figure out, right, how to now negotiate a new contract to have a staff, a working staff, who will now be able to work online. And that's, a Pandora's box. Who gets chosen? Who's going to be the principal online monitoring these teachers who are working remotely and giving them feedback and helping them to become a better teacher? Who gets first choice? Would it be a teacher who has tenure? Would it be a teacher who's new to the system? If you're a student and you're now remote, that means now you should have access to a math teacher, a science teacher, a social studies teacher, right? So will it be one teacher teaching several subjects? Will it be a teacher who is going to be what they call asynchronous? In other words, I'll put up some videos and you will watch the video. So COVID-19 has created a Pandora's box of policies, but it's a good thing because it says that in order for us to move our community and our children forward, they need to be able to have access. So yes, if you're a parent right home, I have parents who reached out and they said, hey, I have a child who tested positive. The kid may be in high school, but guess what? If they've got 4 family members and they're all in school, all 4 kids now must be exited out of school and they're home with a packet rather than having access to remote learning. And now that we know we can do remote learning, we need to be able to think about it. So know that it is not an easy discussion. I'm certainly don't want you to think that it's just as easy as just, okay, let's just make it happen. But once again, I'm going to say to you, our students don't have unions. Children don't have unions, but they have parents. So it's important that parents become educated and that they understand, right, who's in that room with the UFT bargaining, with the CSA, so that they have a voice at the table. And I think what this pandemic has opened up is that parents realize that they didn't have a voice, that they may not truly understand how schools are organized. So once again, why no remote option for New York City children? Because there is no school that is listed as an online school with an online principal and online staff. The school building, the money follows the child. And if the child is on roster in the school building, then it means that they would have had to do some reorganization to give that principal additional monies to be able to say, I can now have a remote staff, but that's policy. And how will he choose it? So that opens up, once again, a Pandora's box for the union to say, well, why did you choose this teacher to be remote? And why didn't you choose that teacher? And so they don't want to deal with that. And I certainly understand it, maybe in the sense of just trying to get schools open and keep kids safe. But at the same time, we had a whole year, right? And so the collective bargaining, I'm sure they're at the table, but what will it look like? And It's also a responsibility to the federal government. So they can't just make changes because the federal government also requires and gives money for kids like for breakfast. And so they want kids in the building because that's how they're going to get their money for the breakfast programs, for after school programs. 10% on every dollar, right? For every from the federal government, that's not small change. So they don't want to lose that money. So once a child is on a roster at a school, you can't just move them off the roster because the money must follow the child. And so there's no menu option to say, well, I'd like a menu where I can go remote for 2 weeks and then I come back into the building. How will this be funded? And that's what they need to say to parents. Let's have some honest discussions about what the challenge is rather than just standing there saying, oh, there's no remote option, because it comes off almost like you're bullying parents and you're not listening to them. So it's extremely important that you get your information. So once again, no remote option. The money follows the child. I thank you for connecting with us this morning on our Legacy Ed News. It's good to be back with you. I'm inviting you to the Dr. Selma Bisha. I'm excited for our Manhattan Neighborhood Network partnership. So it will be on Thursdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. So please make sure you subscribe, you hit the like and subscribe button. I invite you to check out one of our previous Ed News, possibly with Regent Eileen Mann, or our new chancellor in New York State, Dr. Young. And so we've got great content. We want to be able to bring you the content that informs your thinking, gets you the information that you need so you can ask the questions and that you can make decisions for your child in the education space, and also for yourself as well as a parent. It's not an easy job. So welcome back. Thank you for connecting with us again on our Legacy Ed News. I look forward to seeing you, and I will keep you posted on our next schedule for upcoming on Thursdays, Legacy Ed News, Thursday mornings, 8:50 a.m. and our community conversations with leaders on Thursdays as well at 4 p.m. Have a great day, and I'm wishing you a wonderful start to the fall season. And thank you for being with us on our first kickoff for the fall season.